Welcome, dear listeners, to History with Herodotus, where we delve into the depths of human experience and uncover the fascinating tales that have shaped our world. Today, we embark on a journey through the tumultuous landscape of the American Civil War as we explore the Battle of Chickamauga, a pivotal conflict that would forever alter the course of history. As we set the stage for this epic tale, let us first transport ourselves to the rolling hills and verdant valleys of northern Georgia, where the gentle waters of the Chickamauga Creek flow like a lifeblood through the landscape. The creek, which derives its name from the Cherokee word Chickamauga, meaning dwelling place of the chief, winds its way through a region steeped in history and tradition. The surrounding terrain, with its dense forests, steep hills, and winding creeks, would prove to be a decisive factor in the battle, as both armies sought to outmaneuver each other and gain control of the high ground. The earliest history of the Battle of Chickamauga is rooted in the complex web of alliances, rivalries, and competing interests that characterized the region in the mid-19th century. The Cherokee Nation, which had traditionally inhabited the area around Chickamauga Creek, had been forcibly removed from their lands in the 1830s, paving the way for white settlement and the expansion of slavery. This traumatic event, known as the Trail of Tears, would have far-reaching consequences for the Native American population and the future of the region. As we explore the origins of the Battle of Chickamauga, we find that the conflict was shaped by a complex array of factors, including geography, politics, and culture. The town of Ringgold, Georgia, located just a few miles south of the battlefield, played a significant role in the events leading up to the battle. It was here that Confederate General Braxton Bragg's army assembled in the summer of 1863, preparing for their campaign against the Union forces led by Major General William Rosecrans. The key figures involved in the development of the Battle of Chickamauga, including Bragg, Rosecrans, and their respective subordinates, played important roles in shaping the course of the conflict. On June 23, 1863, Bragg's army began to concentrate at Ringgold, with the aim of launching a campaign against the Union Army of the Cumberland. Meanwhile, Rosecrans' forces were gathered in the vicinity of Murfreesboro, Tennessee, preparing to launch a counterattack against the Confederates. As the summer of 1863 wore on, tensions between the two armies continued to escalate. On August 16, 1863, Bragg's army began to move northwards from Ringgold, with the aim of outflanking Rosecrans' forces and gaining control of the strategic city of Chattanooga. The stage was now set for a confrontation that would decide the fate of the region and shape the course of the war. As we pause at the threshold of this great drama, where the earliest history of the Battle of Chickamauga has set the stage for the epic events that are about to unfold, I invite you to join me on a journey into the midst of chaos and destruction, where heroism and sacrifice would ultimately shape the course of a nation. Welcome back to History with Herodotus, as we continue our journey through the tumultuous landscape of the American Civil War and the pivotal Battle of Chickamauga. As we left off in our previous chapter, the armies of Confederate General Braxton Bragg and Union Major General William Rosecrans were poised on the brink of battle, their soldiers ready to clash in a frenzy of musket fire and cannon roar. The battle itself began on September 19, 1863, as the two armies collided in a series of fierce engagements along the Chickamauga Creek. The dense forests and steep hills of the region proved to be a decisive factor, as both armies sought to outmaneuver each other and gain control of the high ground. The Union forces, led by Rosecrans, were initially successful in pushing back the Confederate lines, but Bragg's army held firm, and the battle raged on for 2 days. One of the most significant events of the battle occurred on September 20, 1863, when a series of miscommunications and misunderstandings led to a gap in the Union lines. The Confederates, seizing the opportunity, launched a massive assault that shattered the Union center and sent Rosecrans' army reeling. As the Union troops retreated in disarray, Bragg's army gave chase, but ultimately failed to deliver the crushing blow that could have won the battle outright. Despite being outnumbered, the Confederate forces had gained a crucial advantage, and the Union Army was forced to regroup and reassess its position. The battle had been one of the bloodiest of the war, with over 34,000 casualties on both sides. As the dust settled, it became clear that the Confederates had won a tactical victory, but at great cost. The Union Army, though defeated, was far from destroyed, and would regroup to fight another day. As we reflect on the events of the Battle of Chickamauga, we are reminded of the words of Confederate General James Longstreet, who observed that the battle was one of the most stubbornly contested of the war. The bravery and determination of the soldiers on both sides were evident throughout the battle, as they fought with valor and sacrifice in the face of overwhelming odds. As we pause to consider the significance of this pivotal conflict, we are struck by the realization that the Battle of Chickamauga marked a turning point in the war. Though the Confederates had won a tactical victory, the Union Army would ultimately prevail, and the battle would prove to be a crucial step on the road to Appomattox. As we prepare to conclude our journey through the history of the Battle of Chickamauga, I invite you to join me one final time as we explore the aftermath of this epic conflict. Welcome back to History with Herodotus, as we conclude our journey through the tumultuous landscape of the American Civil War and the pivotal Battle of Chickamauga. As we left off in our previous chapter, the Confederates had won a tactical victory, but at great cost, with over 34,000 casualties on both sides. The Union Army, though defeated, was far from destroyed, and would regroup to fight another day. In the aftermath of the battle, the Union Army retreated to Chattanooga, Tennessee, where they would regroup and reassess their position. The Confederates, led by General Bragg, laid siege to the city, hoping to capture it and gain control of the strategic railroad that ran through it. However, the Union Army, now led by General Ulysses S. Grant, was able to hold out, and eventually, the Confederates were forced to lift the siege. The Battle of Chickamauga marked a turning point in the war, as it set the stage for the eventual defeat of the Confederacy. The battle had been one of the bloodiest of the war, and it had shown that the Union Army was capable of withstanding even the most brutal attacks. As the war dragged on, the Confederates would become increasingly weakened, and the Union Army would ultimately prevail. In the years following the battle, the site of the Battle of Chickamauga would become a national military park, dedicated to preserving the history of the conflict. Today, visitors can walk through the park and see the remnants of the battle, including the trenches and earthworks that were built by the soldiers. The park is also home to a number of monuments and memorials, dedicated to the soldiers who fought and died in the battle. The legacy of the Battle of Chickamauga can still be felt today, as it continues to shape our understanding of American history. The battle marked a turning point in the war, and it set the stage for the eventual defeat of the Confederacy. It also highlighted the bravery and sacrifice of the soldiers who fought in the battle, and it serves as a reminder of the devastating consequences of war. As we reflect on the Battle of Chickamauga, we are reminded of the words of historian Shelby Foote, who observed that the battle was one of the most important of the war. The bravery and determination of the soldiers on both sides were evident throughout the battle, as they fought with valor and sacrifice in the face of overwhelming odds. In conclusion, the Battle of Chickamauga was a pivotal conflict that marked a turning point in the American Civil War. The battle was one of the bloodiest of the war, and it had a profound impact on the outcome of the conflict. Today, the site of the battle is a national military park, dedicated to preserving the history of the conflict. As we remember the Battle of Chickamauga, we are reminded of the importance of preserving our nation's history, and of honoring the sacrifices of those who have fought to defend it. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the history of the Battle of Chickamauga. I hope that you have gained a deeper understanding of this pivotal conflict, and that you will continue to explore the rich and complex history of the American Civil War. Until next time, farewell. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, remember that to understand the present, we must first understand the past.